What's going on, everyone? Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Welcome to another episode. As always, we're talking boxing and MMA. And, I got two live topics for you today. And whatever else you drop in the comment section is always good. First of all, salute to all supporters, man, of World Combat Sports, real talk. Thank you for tuning in to the channel. As always, this will be a split, media stream, man. Because, of course, we have the UFC 249 popping off in Florida, Jacksonville at the ViStar Veterans Memorial. But also I wanted to talk about, the comments that's been floating around. I kind of had a conversation with somebody about Ray Charles Leonard. And, the topic has been taken out of proportion from what my understanding is, just because Bob Arum said that Terrence Crawford was better than Sugar Ray Leonard, a.k.a. Ray Charles Leonard. Sugar, you know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, y'all, I don't think he's there yet. And, we're going to start with that. What's going on? M. Greg, 1964 in the building. What's good? So Bob Arum happened to make a statement, and he's in his own right to do so. You know what I'm saying? And he's been making a lot of statements in his tenure of prosperity. So therefore, when he said that Terrence Crawford was better than Sugar Ray Leonard, I had to think about, as I don't consider myself a hardcore fight fan, but I do consider myself a student in the sense of just being logical sometime, not overthinking the process. And this comparison doesn't require you to overthink it at all. First of all, we can talk about divisions. We can talk about 3 division versus a 5 division. Also, we can talk about the Fab 4 that Sugar Ray Leonard had to his resume. And that was, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, and Wilfred Benitez. I don't think, and I know for a fact that Terrence Crawford don't have anybody on his resume as the caliber of those 4 individuals right there. Period. Point blank, people. He do not have that value, a quality of those infamous 4 opponents. Neither will I say that he's been through the type of adversity that Sugar Ray has faced and came back and was still successful. You feel me? So if you wonder what I'm talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. When he left the sport, he had eye troubles, came back and fought one of the toughest dudes in the game, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. He was out of the sport from 84 to 87. Came back and defeated him. Even caused Marvin Hagler to overthink the process and be like, why not try to switch it up on Sugar Ray? So he switched up his stance, for the first half of the fight and came out something different than he's usually fighting. And it wasn't something that people look back on and say, that was a smart thing to do. He should have just stuck to his commonality, what he's trained for in his lifetime, instead of trying to give Sugar Ray Leonard a different look. You know what I'm saying? And don't get it twisted. We're in a different era of boxing, people. And when you talk about the quality of fighters in certain divisions that was extra hot back in the day, you don't get that as much. You know what I'm saying? You don't get that shit as much. And why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. You take away the 15 rounds, okay. But that still doesn't have anything to do with, the innate ability to reproduce human beings. And it's just some killers back then. Some of those old school OGs back in the day just boxed different. I'm just being absolutely honest, not exacerbating the point, but They was a whole different type of breed of killers back then. So I'm not diluting Terrence Crawford's career, 3-division champion, a future Hall of Famer. Period. Terrence Crawford is far on the compass, but he will be a future Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. And when we mention him in the sentence of Sugar Ray Leonard, it's no way. It's no way that I can sit up here and with integrity say that Terrence Crawford is better than Sugar Ray Leonard. Just based off the opposition, y'all. Just based off the amount of the amount of divisions that he's been successful at being a champion, vice those of Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, I know there might be some confusion to some of you all, right? You look at Terrence Crawford being 36-0, 27 knockouts, a little bit more than his counterpart, Errol Spence Jr. You know what I'm saying? Errol got 25 knockouts, but then again, Sugar Ray Leonard has 25 knockouts. He has 36 victories, but he has 3 defeats. So people kind of look at that like, you know, the experience, the record. You know, you got the casual fans that'll equate that into factor that in into determining if Terrence Crawford is better than Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, of course, we have to talk about styles. You know, right now, Terrence Crawford is lauded to have a switch stand style, you know, very technically sound fighter. He has heart. Ain't no bitch in Crawford. Absolutely not. It wasn't no bitch in Sugar Ray Leonard either, people. You dig? So when I look at Terrence Crawford in this era and how, who he's experienced trouble with, vice who Sugar Ray Leonard experienced trouble with. You know what I'm saying? The first boxer to defeat Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto, Manos Pedri. I'm like, Roberto Duran? Once again, Roberto Duran, who on Terrence Crawford record is Roberto Duran-esque? And who can you say that will match up nicely and give him that type of fight that the crowd was yearning for back then between Leonard and Duran? Nobody. That's real talk, y'all. Nobody can sit up here and give you that Duran when it comes to Terrence Crawford. Nobody on his resume can add up to that. But within this era, Terrence Crawford has been able to become a 3-division champion. You know what I'm saying? So I look at Sugar Ray Leonard's style comparable to Terrence Crawford's style. I liked Sugar Ray Leonard's style better than, look, I can't even say I like it better than if I had the opportunity to choose styles on as a fighter and go out there and utilize one style vice the other. It's not that. It's not that type of analogy. It's not that. I'm not trying to be hypothetically, correct in that sense, but I'm just saying when it comes to Sugar Ray Leonard, I kind of liked how he boxed a bit better than Terrence Crawford. I like how Sugar Ray Leonard, when he turned it on, I mean, just look, astounding speed, very respectable speed, y'all. Very beautiful boxer to watch when he really wanted to turn it on. If Sugar Ray was in the corner, the way he kept his eyes open, he was attentive, the way he was able to goddamn turn up the volume and unleash a barrage of punches, man. Listen, it was what people look for in the sport of boxing. That's what people look for in the sport of boxing. The way Sugar Ray used to turn on, turn up, the crowd go wild. He's boxing. And then to go in there and defeat Marvelous Marvin Hagler, being out the sport from 84 and coming back in 87, right? And then did the unthinkable that Terrence Crawford cannot relate to. Seriously. Now, I thought about this, right? This is what I thought about at one point in time when Jermell Charlo was talking to Terrence Crawford, and they was talking shit back and forth. And I say, you know what? It's good banter. You know what I'm saying? During the pandemic and everything, it's good to give the fight fans a little bit of, verbal sparring over social media. We see that shit all the time. But I say, man, it'll be good for Terrence Crawford, to try to go over there and earn a fourth division. But also, I was thinking about this will absolutely be the opponent if you want to kind of put him in the, shoulder, the brush shoulders, put him abreast with Sugar Ray Leonard. If he wants to go over there, by no means, Jermell Charlo is one of those fighters that I compare to Marvin Hagler. Okay? Roberto Duran. Two different eras, two different fighters. Wilfred Benitez, man, come on, man. Tommy Hearns. But I'm just saying in a sense, like, if Terrence Crawford was able to move up to 154 and fight Jermell Charlo, that would be a fight where people can look back and say, you know what? We can kind of put him in the same bus as when Sugar Ray moved up a fight Donnie Lennon. Hear me out on this, right? Let me paint this canvas for you, shouty. You know what I'm saying? Look, the entertainment factor of watching Sugar Ray Leonard come off a tough victory against Marvin Hagler, right? Take a little bit of time off, came back, not in his division that he just won, but he went up and fought at 168. What was amazing about this switch, though, he was going up in weight, not to contend with anybody that was in the 168-pound division, which is super middleweight. He was contending against Donnie Lennon, who's at light heavy, who's the WBC champion at light heavy, dog. It's boxing. It was some stipulations that people didn't agree with, but back then boxing did a lot of shit that wasn't by the rules. They still do to this day, but times has changed, right? So anyway, talking about Terrence Crawford, Jermell Charlo, if that was the match rate, right? Just say, for instance, looking back, Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight Donnie Lennon, right? Donnie is a 175-pounder. He had to fight Sugar Ray at 168, still the bigger fighter. Still a bigger fighter. But at 168, Leonard's title, look, Sugar Ray Leonard's title was on the line. And guess what weight class that shit was? Come on, do your research. You got the keyboards in front of you, man. I'm just covered off the top, right? So you got Sugar Ray Leonard's title on the line, and you have Donnie Lennon's 175-pound titles on the line, and they're both fighting at sort of like a catch weight at 168. Now, you know well as I do, people, the hardcore boxing fans, when you fight at a catch weight, who the fuck is putting a title on the line? How in the hell can you have two titles on the line from two different divisions and you're fighting at a catch weight, which is a divisional limit, but not for the fighters who are contending as champions in that class? You know what I'm saying? Sounds like a riddle inside of an enigma, huh? When you think of that, Sugar Ray is fighting for his title, defending his title. Donnie Lemon is defending his title, but neither one of those guys are fighting at the weight limit that they're currently holding titles in. So back to the landscape. The way Sugar Ray Leonard went in for this fight, he faced adversity. I believe in the third, fourth round, he was dropped briefly. But Sugar Ray Leonard once again proved that he can fight through adversity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was amazing at what he was able to do. He was entertaining at doing it. And the three losses that he had, I have to look at that shit, and I was like, he lost to some tough individuals. Like, he lost to some tough fighters on his resume, y'all. And then I take the people that he lost to and I compare him to the fighters that Terrence Crawford has a little bit of difficulty with. You know what I'm saying? I can't compare anybody on Sugar Ray Leonard's record to Gamboa. I can't compare anybody to Julius Ndongo. I can't compare to Joseph Benavidez. I can't compare to Kavaliauskas, Mean Machine. I can't compare anybody to Amir Khan, even though he quit. It's just not people that I can compare on Sugar Ray Leonard's record. That was very tough, that I can kind of boost up Terrence Crawford to kind of stand abreast when we talk about putting him in the same equation as Sugar Ray Leonard, y'all. I just can't do it. And I'm not sure if the 36 throws people off. 36. I don't know if the O vices the threats. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on here. If the scale's just a little bit unbalanced when it comes to making that decision, as far as putting Terrence Crawford in the name of Sugar Ray Leonard. But you can go off resume alone. You can go off the records. You know what I'm saying? You can go off the performances that these individuals had. And I'm going to tell you, it should be an easy choice at this point in time in Terrence Crawford's career. You know what I'm saying? When a fighter is fighter of the year, you just look at everything Sugar Ray did in his 20-year career, and it far exceeds that of Terrence Crawford. And once again, salute to both fighters. I wish I would have been able to see Sugar Ray Leonard fight, some of his big, well-known, notable fights in person. I would have enjoyed seeing that. I enjoyed watching him on TV growing up. You know what I'm saying? I have mad respect for him, regardless of everything else that's been going on in his life. And but hands down, when it comes to Terrence Crawford, 3 division, Sugar Ray 5 division, you know what I'm saying? 7-time champion. I gotta say to myself that he's still up there. You know what I'm saying? Sugar Ray Leonard, aka Ray Charles Leonard, still is in front of Terrence Crawford. And the only way that Terrence Crawford is going to come into the equation of being better than Sugar Ray Leonard before he retires, he needs to move up in the division after he successfully unified the welterweight division, because I don't see him moving up to 160. Hey, what's going on? Jamarcus Johnson in the building. Let me break and get some of the comments. Say Ray had to crank it up notch to beat Hearns in the first fight. Absolutely. He lost to Duran, Camacho, and Norris. Absolutely. And that first loss, Duran was the first person to beat Sugar Ray Leonard. But you look at the other two that you mentioned, Camacho was kind of like, we all know Camacho was at the door right then. But Terry Norris, you know what I'm saying? You had to look at the solid fight between him and Duran, and then Camacho and Norris, man. Very quality opponents. It just matters the time that he fought those. That's really the exclamation point right there. Jamarcus Johnson says, I love when Sugar Ray avenged his loss to Duran. That was epic. I agree, man. And that's another magnificent part of Sugar Ray Leonard. For him to go back in there and avenge his loss, it kind of reminds me on what fighters, the decision that they make in training camp. When they go back, they reevaluate. They look at the reel. They spin it. They break it down. They take their points of correction, and then they go into the process of remediation. And that's what Sugar Ray Leonard did. That's what he did. He fought the fight different now. You know what I'm saying? Hands of stone. He got down. He had to fight the fight different. And he did that. And it was very smart of him to prove that he can box. And he was a better boxer. He proved that shit. And man, I salute him every day. So when I hear people get mad about certain fighters boxing, it's okay to go out there and box. Sugar Ray still boxed, and it was entertaining, and it was a quality fight. But he wasn't running. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are so quick to say, well, we want to see him box. But yet when he boxing and he's slipping punches and his ring generalship is just scholar that night. You know what I'm saying? He's an honor grad. People want to say, oh, he didn't do enough. He didn't stay in the pocket long enough. He was in and out. He was working for FedEx. That shit was too quick. His delivery, he dropped that shit off and then he was gone. I mean, you got to understand what the sport of boxing is about. Like that shit, he boxed smart. He really did. He boxed really smart, man. And that's solid points. M. Greg, Jamarcus Johnson, solid points, man, from both of y'all. For sure. But, I give them all the respect to both fighters. But, for Terrence Crawford, if he was to be successful in unifying the welterweight division, and just say he moved up to 154, and he was successful in picking up a chip over there against a quality opponent, of course, maybe two. Still with the critics or those historians, because we don't have many people that's considered historians of boxing this day and time. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the sugars in the building that's considered historians. But I look at it this way, right? Even with that, what I just said is him unifying the welterweight and moving up the junior middle. I still don't think people look at him as like, yeah, now he's in the picture with Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, come on, man. Like, it was some killers back then, Terry Norris, Camacho, man, come on, man. Like, Marvis Marlon Hagler, Tommy Hearns. I mean, to have those dudes on the resume, I don't think he's going to find that person. Now, if him and Errol Spence ever fight in the welterweight division, right? I have to look at Errol Spence being a single division champion. He's a two-time champion right now, but I have to look at him being a single division champion. Just because Terrence Crawford, that's the name he needs as, boosting up his Wall Street in sport. I get it. But Errol Spence, even though he started off at junior middle, he never won a title up there. So his only title that he's picked up has been in welterweight. That's real talk. There's no hate on him. But you look at all these multi-division champions. That's on Sugar Ray's resume, y'all. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Outside of a Sunday, I mean, we don't need a goddamn a podium. We don't need a preacher to goddamn for you to testify. I mean, let's be realistic, man. Serious. Look at the people. The opposition that Sugar Ray had, multi-division champions, many of them, and that's not going to go away. That's not going to dissolve or any of that. But over to Terrence Crawford, one thing I just truly don't appreciate right now is that you will have individuals that want to boost up Errol Spence, and then they'll tear down Terrence Crawford. And when I try to provide media, right, I sit up here and try to dichotomize that shit straight down the middle and give you the sides of both fighters, right? So I truly believe you can report on boxing, MMA, or whatever sport, but you don't have to sit up here and say, you know what, while I'm basically speaking on my favorite fighter, I have to sit over here and keep a cloud of criticism on his opposition, you know what I'm saying, on the fighter that I'm comparing, or the fighter that he's linked up to right now, or the fighter that's a part of the narrative, such as Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. I don't believe in that shit. I think it's very hypocritical. as far as having integrity of the media. And media, you can say what the fuck you want to say. It's a freedom of, right? Press is included in that, right? But I just see at this point in time, like, you got grown ass men that's all jumping on the bandwagon and say, yeah, we they're all gonna go for Spence, but they tearing down Terrence Crawford. You can't fucking tear down Terrence Crawford. You cannot sit up here and say Terrence Crawford record is anywhere beneath the accolades of Errol Spence. If you do, you're what I call a drive-by connoisseur of boxing. You peek in, you know what I'm saying? Once you crack the window and you press the gas up out that bitch, period. You're not sitting there and studying and analyzing shit, because there's no way in your right mind that you can say Terrence Crawford, his career is devalued less than Errol Spence, who's only been in one division, and he's able to become the WEC and the IBF champion. And then I grant him all the respect in the world. Like I told you, I sit up here and just cover both sides. He went in the backyard of Kell Brook and went in a tough fight, which, once again, Errol Spence was taking some heat. If he didn't get the stoppage, the fight cards might have, been a bad day for him. But he was able to get the stoppage. Of course, you have people talking about Triple G has something to do with the fragmentation of his cranial cap, which is untrue. Kell Brook was damaged by Triple G on the right side of his goddamn head, from the punishment. And Errol Spence damaged the left. You know what I'm saying? Southpaw, right jab. But anyway, you look at his you look at his highlight opponents, the Kell Brooks that fought. You know what I'm saying? Sean Porter. I'm not gonna mention Mikey Garcia, but I'm talking about Sean Porter. You have to look at the quality of opponents that kind of boost up Errol Spence's Wall Street, so to speak. But then you can say the same thing for Terrence Crawford. You can say, well, his resume is kind of suspect of big notable names. Then again, I can say, well, when he stepped up to the welterweight division, he fought for a chip. He fought the undefeated Jeff Horn, who had defeated Manny Pacquiao. Now check out this shit right here, bro. Jeff Horn defeated Manny Pacquiao. The same Manny Pacquiao who went out here and defeated Lucas Matisse, who I don't know what the fuck planet he was on that night. And then he went over there and defeated Adrian Broner. We know what Adrian Broner we kind of looking at, if he gonna let his hands go, the same song and dance, take out the violin and pop the strings. And then he went in there and did what he did to Keith Thurman. Now, I don't give a fuck who gets upset and get a little agitated. You might want to dab it dry, but goddamn, all three of those fights, Manny Pacquiao, is questionable if he was in freaking bother testing. It was questionable if he was in goddamn testing. So all this I need to equate to the fact that Terrence Crawford defeated a Jeff Horn who defeated Manny Pacquiao. The same Manny Pacquiao who went on that 3-fight win streak and did his due diligence, right? But he defeated Jeff Horn, who was undefeated, who defeated Manny Pacquiao. He stopped him at that. He stopped Jeff Horn. He stopped him. Now, of course, I do have to include the one that I just said I wasn't going to talk about as far as the notable names that Errol Spence's fought. But I have to bring in Mikey Garcia into the equation. Because look, Joseph Benavidez was undefeated when he fought Terrence Crawford. And you're probably saying to yourself, he had one leg. Okay, I get it. But he stopped him in the 12th. He did. He stopped Kavaliauskas after being dropped. He stopped him. D-O-G, dog. Now, if you take the Horn, Joseph Benavidez, You notice I didn't mention Amir Khan? He quit. Fuck it. And you look, Terrence Crawford about giving him the business. And we're talking about Horn, Joseph Benavidez, and goddamn Kavaliauskas, right? Mean Machine. He stopped all of them. But when Mikey Garcia, who had previously won a belt at junior welterweight, vacated it, he stepped up and faced Errol Spence, and Errol Spence go the distance with a fighter who was visiting welterweight division. He went the distance with him. Even though Mikey Garcia is a 4-division champion, understand me. Look who I just said with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford stepped in here with undefeated fighters. Mikey Garcia was undefeated, visiting the unit. He was checking in. He had orders from his last division, 140, up to the 147 welterweight. And guess what? Errol Spence didn't stop him. But look at the orders that Terrence Crawford had. He checked in. I'm giving military jargon. He checked in, and he went to his first assignment, Jeff Horn, defeated the tough Aussie, defeated Joseph Benavidez, even though he was a dangerous dude with an injured leg. But we can't put that into play as an excuse. There's a trend with Crawford, and it's a good trend. For him to come over and pick up that WBO title, and then to knock out Benavidez in 12 rounds. Isn't that what he's supposed to do? He's a 3-division champion. He's supposed to do that shit. And then he went there, Mean Machine, faced adversity, dog walked him. He say, fuck everything else. I understand what Bo Mac telling me in the corner, but goddamn it, this ain't a boxing match no more. We on the back streets of Omaha, you dig? And that's where we gonna stay. And that's what Crawford said. God damn it, I'm dog walking this motherfucker until I stop him. And that's what Crawford did, man. He stopped them. He stopped them. He stopped the ones that were supposed to be stopped. Seriously, he found a way to stop the ones. But when it comes to Errol Spence, could he find a way to stop Mikey Garcia? That's all I'm saying, people. Did he find a way? He didn't find a way to stop Mikey. He's coming off his last fight with freaking Sergey Lipinets at 140, man. Even though the knockout, beautiful it was. Very magical. And the way he dropped Sergey Lipinets in the 7th round in a junior welterweight fight. He parried 2 of goddamn Sergey Lipinets' jab and then hit him with the left. Terrence Crawford did what the fuck he's supposed to do. That's real talk. Now, of course, if I wanted to bring in Carlos Ocampo, I can't. I can't bring in Carlos Ocampo, who he crushed in the first round. I can't do that because that was supposed to happen because they reached way down to make him mandatory. Nobody ever heard of fucking Carlos Ocampo. But check this out, though. Check this out. If I'm not mistaken, Joseph Benavidez was like 27-0, right? 17 knockouts. Respectable resume, right? He had more wins than Errol Spence. Terrence Crawford went in there and shut him down in the 12th round. That's what he's supposed to do, right? That's what the fuck he was supposed to do, and he did that shit. It's no freaking discussion. It's no discussion. Y'all can sit up here and boost up Errol Spence all you want because, you know, you look, we got media out here and they can't goddamn talk about one fighter without tearing down the other. And I'm telling you, it's easy to do. I just showed you how to do it. All you have to do is just cross-thread motherfucking goddamn their body of work, what their presence has been in competition, in the sport of boxing, how they make a living. Fuck all the personal shit. Fuck all the personal shit. We're talking about in the ring. when you talk about Terrence Crawford, stopping Jeff Horn, stopping Joseph Benavidez, stopping Kavaliauskas, I know I left out Amir Khan, but he quit. He was getting to work. He quit. Stopping Kavaliauskas after being dropped. Was it the third round? After being dropped and got up and dog walked him and say, you know, we ain't playing by the rules no more. This street justice right here. This is what I'm giving you, real talk. And he did what he had to do. Can you say that Errol Spence did the same thing? Why y'all playing? Why are y'all sitting up here trying to say, well, we need for Sean Porter to go face? Why are you putting Terrence Crawford as the backup? Why y'all acting like this dude's the pinch hitter? You can't send Sean Porter over there to say, well, Errol Spence dropped him in the 11 to end up winning the fight. Now we need for Sean Porter to go over there and fight Terrence Crawford. But you're not evaluating the entire scope. The entire scope is the fact that Terrence Crawford, 3-division champion, and the opponents that he had up to this point, what was he able to do? What was Kavaliauskas' record? Kavaliauskas' record was, when he fought Bud Crawford, I believe it was like 21-0, right? I mean, y'all got the home keys in front of you, like 21-0, right? 16 knockouts. That's 0. Jeff Horn, they got a 1 on their shit because of Crawford. Benavidez, he got a 1 on his shit because of Crawford. Mean Machine, a 1. Numero uno, people. You can't sit up here and compare Terrence Crawford as if he's beneath, he's a layer when you start to evaluate and report on these fighters, as if he's beneath Errol Spence, who has fought handily in a single division outside of his initial bid of junior middleweight. He fought 3 fights to begin his career, and he got there, moved into welterweight, and he's been there ever since. As a Terrence Crawford, he's a 3-division champion. He didn't come over here and say, you know what, I need a soft touch. I need a tune up before, you know, stepping up to welterweight. No, he went up and fought Jeff Horn. Mikey Garcia stepped up, and salute to Mikey Garcia for stepping up. But Errol Spence didn't stop Mikey Garcia. He didn't stop him. Did Terrence Crawford stop Julio Sindongo? I know it's rhetorical. Did Terrence Crawford do that shit? Like, come on, man. Let's be realistic with ourselves. Let's be honest. I'm not dogging out Errol Spence any of that, but I'm just kind of I'm holding court right now, you know, because I hear too many media out here. They all on the same bandwagon like this, the Django and shit, and I'm like, oh, it's time to dog out Terrence Crawford because we all favor Errol Spence. I think the time will come when it comes for Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford to fight. And we'll get the breakdown that we've been looking for. You know what I'm saying? We will get a chance to observe. We will get the chance to assess. And we will get the chance in order to give the pluses and minuses, the pros and cons, and then get to see them fight one another. And the winner is who they are. And then, you know, after whoever wins that fight, then we can move on and talk about what's next. What happened in that fight? Why it happened the way it did? And what's next? Because, look, both of them fighters are not extremely young individuals. It's going to be, give or take 3 years, it's going to be a changing of the guard. That's real talk. It's going to be a change of the guard. 3 or 4 years, if they don't stay in the sport or overstay their sport, overstay their welcome in the sport of boxing, it's gonna be a changing of the guard. You're gonna have the 135ers and the 40s moving up to 47. It's gonna be a transition in the next 3 years. But don't sit up here and tear down Terrence Crawford because y'all sitting up here wanna boost up Errol Spence, and Errol Spence is indeed a champion. He's a fighter that has that dognacious type of mentality. He is no bitch in either one of these guys. But what I don't have to understand is when we're reporting on these fighters, you don't have to sit up here and say, well, since we favor Errol Spence, what the fuck has Terrence Crawford done? Well, all you have to do is goddamn read and do your research. You'll find out what the fuck he did. Don't be trying to sit up here and spin the record and wondering why the music sounds a lot different than what it's supposed to be. You can't sit up here and tear down Terrence Crawford because he hasn't been in welterweight division longer than Errol Spence. That's crazy to even think about. I don't want to use that IG word, ignorant. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at it in a blown up perspective, and people are saying, well, what the fuck has Errol Spence did? He ain't did shit in the welterweight division. Why are you just comparing the layers of his body of work to that? You got to do better. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got to say on that, especially tonight. I've said my piece on that. When they're able to fight, we'll get to see them fight. But I don't believe that Bud Crawford should be fighting Sean Porter just to prove a point to people who want to see can he, beat somebody Errol Spence beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, why y'all trying to push Sean Porter around? Sean Porter's a 2-time champion, man. Not only that, he earned this shit, Sean Porter's a beast. But don't be trying to goddamn treat him like he the hole in the strip. Like you sending him out walking, go over there and fight Terrence Crawford. Nah, Sean Porter ain't that dude. I got to give Sean Porter his respect, man. Always in shape, a little goofy at times, but man, you got to give him his respect. And, I don't think he should be like nudged over to next door to say, go fight Terrence Crawford so we can kind of gauge who's the better fighter. You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't absorb right. It's just not something I digest. It's like a salt tablet with no chaser. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, y'all, you get the point. Moving on. Speaking of the pandemic, before I jump over to mixed martial arts, it's a lot of little rumblings going on, man. A lot of shade being thrown amongst the ladies. Too nice looking. Easy on the lids. You know what I'm saying? You had Hannah Gabriel fire shots at Raquel Miller. And the way she did it, it was just like a 2-shot combo. Seriously. And you ever heard me before, talk about my interview with Hannah Gabriel. Interviewing her was just like standing in an oasis, rays coming down. Woo, that soft, silky tone that she has, but yet she's a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? She know how to fight. And how she was up here explaining, just a beautiful individual, aesthetically, verbally, her voice is just like harmony. You know what I'm saying? So what she was able to say to Miller, it said, yeah, I'm looking for a rematch or whatever, in so many words. I'm not quoting it verbatim, but she was like, yeah, I can use her for a tune-up. And I was like, damn, like Miller, last time I checked, was undefeated. And she's holding the interim title, right? So for Hannah Gabriel to sit up here and say, you know what? I'll fight her. She can be my tune-up. When a boxer say you their tune-up, man, it's absolutely disrespect. It's just basically saying, you know what? I'm walking past you, whether you like it or not. We can sign the fight, but I'm stepping through the ropes and you're my tune-up. Hannah Gabriel said that shit about Raquel Miller. If that ain't shade, I don't know what is. And then I'm thinking of who threw the shade, and I can imagine standing in front of her and she's saying that shit to the camera. It wouldn't be any roughness to it. She would just be up there, soft, monotone, get you all sleepy, make you want to go get some flowers or something, grab a bottle of wine. But out of respect, she is married. But I'm just saying, I'm just picturing this shit. So I can imagine her putting that shade, throwing shots out there to Raquel Miller, who, in my opinion, haven't really did shit to nobody. She's been quiet as kept. She hasn't really been a mouthpiece and just been very boisterous at all. She's been chilling. But for Hannah Gabriel to come out and say, you know what, I want to fight Miller, man, she can be my tune-up. That's disrespectful. And I'm pretty sure Miller was like, what the fuck? Who this bitch? What? She talking to me? I'm a tune-up. And you know what? You know what's fucked up, people? Miller is going to have to prove that she isn't a tune-up. Seriously. Hannah Gabriel can fight. Miller, she can fight too, to a point. It's just her competition. She needs to. This will be a big step up for her, right? She's gonna have to prove that she's not a step up to freaking Hannah Gabriel. And if Hannah Gabriel wants to go back in there with Clarissa Shields at a lower weight, then so be it. We'll watch that fight. I mean, fuck it. Goddamn Clarissa, when her name comes into the picture, it's almost like, you can picture her sitting in a chair with her feet up, all her belts dangling above, because she's just about she's just about did everything a fighter wants to do as early in her career that you can lay out, that you can goddamn plan that shit and lay it from start to finish and say, you know what? I checked off all my goals and I've accomplished them. Now what? So if Hannah Gabriel wants to go up here, fight Miller, and if by chance she's able to go in there and defeat Miller, who she's calling a tune-up, then let's go back and see a rematch between Hannah Gabriel and Clarissa Shields. Why not? Clarissa ain't got shit else to do. Shout out to Alex Ayala in the building. What's going on with you, Alex? Salute to you. Thanks for dropping through, man. So y'all stay tuned for that. See if Hannah Gabriel is able to get that fight with Miller. And I have to go with Gabriel with this one. Seriously, I have to go with Gabriel, man. Come on, man. That's a no-brainer. I have to go with Gabriel winning and defeating Miller. And once again, I don't know why I got to keep saying this, but we live in a sensitive world right now where people just listen to your evaluation, and it's only opinions, right? But you say this and they might like the fight, and then people start running and telling and shit. Did you hear what so-and-so said? And then they go tell the next fighter, did you hear what so-and-so said? Well, next time we see him in person, don't give him an interview. Hey, bro, that shit happens, yo. Seriously. But I got Gabriel winning, and it would be good to see Shields and Gabriel back in for a rematch at a lighter division. would be great. Now in between that, you have Cecilia Brækhus, and I really wish that she wouldn't be dropping down. I really wanted to see her and Shields go at it. I mean, but Cecilia Brækhus, she may feel that she's entitled a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Forget all the prepossession of her looks and everything, man. When it comes down to the sport of boxing, I mean, what's going on? You don't want to give Clarissa Shields your name to have on her resume? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's disappointing. How long are you going to hang on to being an undisputed and have that, and you really don't want to say, you know what, let me challenge myself, let me go do this, instead of just fighting. You're in the women's division. You have to do more and more and more to gain good standing with not just the fans, but with the networks to even talk about you. Don't too many people talk about her. Look at Amanda Serrano. She cross-thread combat sports. Don't too many people talk about her unless she got a fight coming up. When her and Heather Hardy fought, I knew she was going to be active, but I also knew Heather Hardy was tough. But no one talk about both of those individual cross-thread boxing and MMA. You know what I'm saying? Don't too many people say shit about it. It's tough, man. It's tough. These women are trying their damnedest to get notoriety, and talking shit on social media is not going to do it. They have to all band together and advocate, and they can't go on strike or else they don't get paid. But they're gonna have to find a way, man, to unionize indirectly, mesh together, man, and come speak up and try to advocate for higher pay, just like they did in tennis. Now, of course, the demographic is different from tennis to boxing, but I'm just saying these women are gonna have to get together. They're gonna have to find a way to damn advocate for higher pay. And I said this was my last topic, but I can't leave without, last topic of boxing for the day. All right. Word is, let me sip this clear. Ooh, it ain't nothing like having a drink like that. H2O. Anyway, Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson returning back to the sport. Have they not have enough time to place these fighters in a better situation so that this won't happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can sugarcoat it all you want. It's talking about it's an exhibition bout and everything like this. People need to understand these fighters have to go in there and fight, man, and they really need a solid plan to put their money, invest their money, or do something. Because look, I see fighters, man, without being disrespectful, like I see too many fighters, man, that's out the door, over the hill, turning back around, clamming the hill, and jumping through the window and be like, shit, give me anything. Give me anything. I need it. What you got? You got a regional fight? You got something at Walmart? What we got? Community pool? What we got? I just need a fight. It don't need to be anywhere big. It don't need to be Vegas, Barclays. Just give me anything. I'll fight in a train station. That needs to stop, man. I hope in the future sometime they come up with somebody come up with a system that's implemented internal to an organization that can allow these fighters to invest in their future so they can be kind of set up to receive some type of stipend for a certain amount of years. You know what I'm saying? If by chance they're able to invest this money to the right people, of course, and they won't get taken and knocked on the head with a double claw hammer. You know what I'm saying? But as I have conversations with people and they just try to goddamn look at this shit and the shit they say about these fighters, like, man, it's they dumbass fault. It's this shit that I kind of keep away from that. But the reason why you coming back for boxing is different for every fighter. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the whole reason, but I retired from the military at 37 years old. Even at my age now, even if I wanted to, I cannot re-enlist and go back into the military. I wouldn't want to. It's just certain things I'm comfortable with right now, right? And it's just certain physical aspects that I have to be held to that I'll be like, nah, I haven't did that shit for 10 years. Nah. I don't care about getting promoted. I'm good where I'm at. But I still know how to delegate and make sure the mission is accomplished. When it comes to boxing, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield in the heavyweight division, we have to take in consideration of what happened to Adonis Stevenson and Maxim Dedashev. We have to take in consideration, people. You just can't overlook that shit. We can't overlook what Mancini had to go through. We can't overlook that shit. I don't give a fuck if they're a legend or not. You can't say just because he was knocking out cats in his heyday, he's still a killer. Because internally, when you talk about encephalitis, encephalopathy, or pugilistica, and all that shit that goes along with people bleeding over to future dementia and everything like that, it can happen in the sport of boxing. People want to talk about George Foreman coming back. Listen, George Foreman took almost a decade out the sport, came back, ended up getting a title fight. Maybe had one fight, I believe. Came back and got a title fight with Michael Moore at 45 years old. 45 years old now. George Foreman wasn't in his 50s now. And was able to go in there and took punishment, but he ended up getting a knockout. Now, at that time, he was the oldest, to pick up a championship. Not excluding Archie Moore. We're not talking about the oldest champ in the reign. You know what I'm saying? But we're talking about George Foreman being 45, coming back to the sport and been out of the sport of boxing. Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson coming back to the sport and doing what George Foreman was able to do with a fighter the age of Michael Moore right now in the division. It's not a good move. It's not a good move. I don't know, man. Like Evander from Alabama, but the A-claim Evander. We claim him down here, the real deal. We claim him, absolutely. But when I saw that commercial he made, he's jogging and they're showing body doubles. You know what I'm saying? Don't goddamn give me some kickback. They showing body doubles and him doing crunches and all. I get it. You got to make the video and you want it to look as believable as possible. But Evander Holyfield does not need It's my fault. Somehow the connection, well, it wasn't my fault, but the connection dropped. Let me get this right over here. But anyway, as I was saying, Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, I really don't want to see them come to the sport right now. Being that they're two icons that basically have nothing else to prove in their career. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, they don't have anything else to prove. They have basically solved the puzzle when they was competing. They have absolutely excelled at what they did, and they're considered two of the greats to ever do it. So for them to come back, this is what I'm hearing. Rumor mill. I have to put that shit out there that supposedly Mike Tyson may be out here facing an opponent like Shannon Briggs or something like that. Rumor mill. I don't know. I'm not reporting officially on any of that shit. And then we really don't know where Evander Holyfield's trying to go, because when I saw the video, he was like, "I'm back." Like, hold on. What do you mean you back? Like, are you back for an exhibition bout, or you back just for a couple of fights? Because you're not back to compete for the title. We don't need to see that. We do not need to see Evander Holyfield coming back to defeat. I said defeat to compete or try to say I'm going on the title run. I wouldn't even want to see Evander Holyfield in there with an FA jobber right now. I wouldn't even want to see him in there with a Robert Helenius or Daniel Dubois. I wouldn't even want to see him in there with Andy Ruiz right now. I just wouldn't want to see him in there with any of those guys. Charles Martin, even Andy Konoski. We wouldn't want to see him in there. The heavyweight division has changed. And you notice I didn't mention the top 3 heavyweights. It's no need to. Because I will be on my knees praying and say, please, God, don't allow this fight to happen with Evander Holyfield going in here with the top 3 heavyweights in the game. And who in the hell in the commission is approving this fight? I just hope it doesn't happen. And for Mike Tyson, another person who has the wits about him, very attentive. I love his podcast, man. I thought he was doing very good with the marijuana dispensary and everything like that. But to be back in the gym, I don't know what this is for, man. I don't know. To pick up a bag. I'm hearing that the bare knuckle fighting said they'll give him $20 million bag. $20 million bag to fight bare knuckles. Now, that raises eyebrows. To see Mike Tyson in a bare knuckle fighting, square circle? Jeez, can you imagine Mike Tyson fighting bare knuckles? Jesus Christ. Like, I'm curious to see with his movement and everything, how would that even work out? How would that play out? Who would get knocked the fuck out? Will it be Tyson or will it be his opposition? Because, I've been to a couple bare knuckle fighting in the heavyweight division. I don't know, man. The last one I seen was Gonzaga and Bigfoot Silva. So when I look at Bigfoot Silva and Gabriel Gonzaga, they both have their knockouts in the UFC. We could say Gabriel, Alistair Overeem. And then, of course, Gabriel, I'm just putting out some of the highlights, right? Gabriel Gonzaga, the head kick he gave Mirko Krokov. Man, the head kick. Come on, man. That shit was vintage. But to see Mike Tyson in there, going in there against Gabriel, a part of me said that Mike Tyson may be able to stop Gonzaga. But, I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. Like, Gonzaga is younger than Tyson. I don't know, man. I don't know what Mike Tyson, what he needs to do. Why is he returning? But anyway, I'm done with that. I'm done with it. But I will talk about it again. You can believe that. So moving on to mixed martial arts, man. UFC 249. Give it up to Dana White, who's been a general in the eye of the goddamn battle. You know, he's been shut down and shut down and shut down. And he's been proven a point to say, you know what? I am in a position for a reason. I'm the president. I've been aboard this for a long time. I have goddamn body armor to prove it. I've been in many battles, but this pandemic is quite a different one. And Dana White has been adamant about trying to push a fight in this pandemic. And people have been trying to shut him down. They've been criticizing him. They've been saying, you know what, you've been an opportunist, you're selfish, you know, and Dana White is like, shit, I'm trying to put on fights so my fighters can get paid. Also, so the company can continue to, you know, gain revenue somehow without a gate. So this is why the fight this weekend is going to be 249. I mean, PPV UFC 249. Now, what people have to understand, hear me out. What y'all have to understand about the people that's been dying in this pandemic, right? I know some individuals have absolutely died from COVID-19. And I know some people have died from other causes who was diagnosed and put on their birth certificate with dying from COVID-19 when they actually passed from something else. It's just too many. I cannot give a consensus, right? But this is what I can tell you. People shouldn't be too agitated about what's been going on with Dana White trying to, you know, put a fight card on, and finally Florida opened up and Dana White saying, you know what, I'm on board, man, I'm down. And now the fighters are on deck down there in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And the shit is gonna be live and live in color in PPV without an audience this weekend. But what I wanted to say is, it's been men and women dying in the military for the longest, of time. If you look at the amount of years we've been in the war and the amount of service members that's passed, we didn't need a pandemic to die. We didn't need a pandemic to die. We was in a situation where we signed up and we went into fully aware that this may happen. It may be sometime or another we have to go into the combat zone and we may not make it and come home. That's a realization right there. So this is just one of those situations where we have an unconstrained virus that was around, right? And we really couldn't put our finger on what the hell or why and where was it. Like combat, we know who we going over there to fight. But with this virus, it was just everywhere. We really couldn't put our finger on where the source was resonating from. So it just kept on and kept on and kept on. And before you know it, there was cases everywhere. So with Dana White, he's bringing fighters down to Jacksonville. Time they get to a certain area, whatever, they have to get tested for COVID. And the process is like they stick this Q-tip in your nose. And for what the fighters are talking about, it goes all the way back to the point where it touches your freaking skull or your brain or whatever. And it's not the most comfortable test to take. And then you get your results. So therefore, that's what the fighters are doing. But where I'm a little bit foggy in the clarity, right? It gets a bit convoluted, right? Is that if these fighters get tested for COVID and they're not restricted to stay in place instead of outside walking around frequenting the area, how does someone even know if they have contracted it once again? If you go get tested, but you stand at an Airbnb and it's outside the premise of the fight, you know, I heard Jeremy Stevens say he doesn't have to be at the venue because he's on the main card till 90 minutes before or whatever the case may be. So therefore, if you're not in the primary area on the premise after you was tested and you're out in the element wherever you stand, who's to say you may not contract it? You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't hear anything about them being tested once again when they enter the venue on fight night. which is only 2 days away. That's my curiosity. That's, that's something I'm sitting up here optimistic about, contemplating like, damn, a lot of questions being asked, how the fighters are going to come down there. Are they going to be tested? Of course they are. They have been tested. They've been in the process of completing virtual media days, so to speak, conference calls. So the only ones I've seen so far was Tony Ferguson, Henry Cejudo, Dominique Cruz, and Justin Gaethje. And really, to be honest, the main and the co-main, that's the only people I really want to see. Who else on there? It's not too many other people that I would want to see, like, to see what's going on with them or anything, unless I want, the energy turned up a little bit and get some real friction going. That'd probably be Greg Hardy. Francis Ngannou and Rosenstruck, I don't think they're very good trash talkers. There's no need for Fabricio Verdum and Olenek to trash talk. Fabricio Verdum is coming off a 2-year layoff for being suspended for PEDs. The girls are not going to talk. Carlos Esparza is not going to talk shit to Michelle Waterson. It's no need. They two nice people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's no need for them to talk up the fight. Bryce Mitchell, Charles Rosa? Possibly. Possibly. Vincent Luque, again, Nico Price, possibly. They might spark up a little interest, you know what I'm saying? But really, the main event and the co-main event is what was needed. And yeah, I will be going hard in the paint tomorrow, talking about UFC 249, man, down in Jacksonville, Florida. And it's going down at the VyStar Veterans Memorial. And I think it's going to be lit. I think the card is going to be fire. It's a heavy card. You got 5 on the main and 7 on the back. 7 on the prelims. So shit. It's gonna be good, man. The third fight after the co-main, the third fight is Francis Ngannou and Rosenstruck, 2 heavy hitters. My only dilemma with them is both of them are power punches, and I hope we don't get the Francis Ngannou who fought Derek the Beast Lewis. He was just walking on the outside and he wasn't doing too much. You know what I'm saying? So I'm curious to know, since we got 2 heavy hitters, 2 loaded weapons, will they be willing to stand and trade? That is the big question. Seriously, huge question. Huge question. And then, of course, lightweight, you got Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens, man, he's feeling some type of way. He is coming off his last fight where he thought he won. He would have won if it was a 5-round fight. I don't blame him, man. The Heathen definitely has some to prove. And I think it may steal the night a little bit. Potentially Jeremy Stephens don't come to play at all, man. Who's this? Okay. What the fuck? What the hell they talking about? But he's facing Calvin Kattar, man. That's gonna be a really good fight. So don't say I didn't tell you. Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. I'm telling you, that fight is gonna be absolutely heated. Jeremy always bring the heat. And to close out the main card, like I always tell you, and I'll tell you again tomorrow, Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy's up here fighting the Castro, which he said he's gonna, everybody's just coming in here to fight Greg Hardy. They act like they have a personal freaking open check, the cash on his chin for him having domestic issues, right? But the one process that you need to understand with combat sports, and it's not taken away from any seriousness of it, but with combat sports, you have a plethora of freaking domestic violence issues that's never talked about. And the ones that make it to the media is that it got bad enough. It got so bad that the fighter got in trouble and it was criminal and they had to say something about it. As of recent, in mixed martial arts, you remember the Mean Machine, right? He's still locked up. I mean, you have individuals and their brain, their anatomy is different. Everybody takes punishment different. Of course, we see in the situation with Gervonta Davis and his the mother of his child. It happens in combat sports, unfortunately. So for them to be walking up to Greg Hardy, say, I want to make him pay for his situation. I want to make him pay. Well, get in line, man. Like, there's so many people out here that's been a part of domestic issues. Seriously. You think you're going in there getting punched and kicked and all this other stuff? And you're not going to feel different? Man, come on. And then on the prelim card, man, to start it off, you have Ryan Spann and Smiling Sam and Alvey. Sam Alvey. That's going to be okay. It's going to be one of those fights to start off the fight card. You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, you have a featherweight fight, Bryce Mitchell and Charles Rosa, which I believe is going to be another spark to the fight card. And then middleweight division, you have Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is going to be facing Jacare Sosa. And then you're going to have Vincent Luque facing, who is he facing? Nico Price. And then after that, you're going to have the women's strawweight, I believe, Carla Esparza and Michelle Waterson, the Karate Hottie. And then the heavyweight, you're going to have Fabricio Verdun against Olenek. And then at the top, the last fight on the prelim is going to be Cowboy Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis. And, my take on Cowboy Cerrone saying that he just didn't feel a certain way when he stepped in there with Conor McGregor proves the way his performance went. Now Stephen A is like, I wasn't far off, huh? I said he didn't act like he wanted to be there and he quit. Yeah and no. Cowboy Cerrone, man, it's a lot of freaking ammo to say that you didn't put your all. If we used to seeing you put out and take punishment a certain way, and what Conor McGregor did to you didn't seem like it was that severe, then maybe you are wearing that suit of surrendering and came in for a paycheck. Because I didn't hardly see Cowboy Cerrone fight back at all. It was a wash. He took you through the wash, man. As many fights as you got, he took you through the wash, man. This is the same guy in the press conference that you was telling Conor McGregor, like, nah, we different up here. You better stay your ass down there featherweight. You don't want to come up here to lightweight. We're a whole different beast up here. Basically telling Conor he was light in the ass and he shouldn't be coming up the freaking lightweight division. But hey, he finally stepped in there with Cowboy Cerrone, and Cowboy say 2 days before that he didn't feel right. So does that take away from Conor's win? Yeah. Hell yeah, it does. But his fight fans are goddamn jumping on the Conor McGregor, the Irish damn bandwagon once again with square wheels, because that's what Conor McGregor's career has been like ever since he returned from Floyd Mayweather. He been riding downhill with square wheels, bumps and like this, and shit ain't been smooth for him. He came back and fought one of the top fighters in the game, and he got subbed out. Y'all need to put that in perspective. That's all I'm saying. So for Cowboy Cerrone to go in there, Anthony Pettis, both of them, I mean, both of them have been beat by Tony Ferguson, who's fighting on the main card in the main event. Both of those individuals have been defeated by Tony Ferguson. It's all about who was defeated the worst. It don't matter. Both of them was fucked up. Both of them. Tony Ferguson fucked both of them up. Even Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje defeated Cowboy Cerrone also. But the days are nearing, and I just can't wait for the fight card. I will be doing live commentary, people. You can best believe that I will be doing live commentary. I'm looking for some good quality mixed martial arts during the pandemic. I'm glad these fighters was able to come down and get their paycheck, be able to go in there and fight and make a living. Real talk. I'm glad, man. Seriously, I'm glad, man. Seriously, I'm glad in a way that Dana White was able to allow his people that's underneath the banner, these contractors, to be able to step in the cage and fight and earn a living during this pandemic, because it's a lot of promotions and it's a lot of fighters that'll never be the same after this virus lifts. You know what I'm saying? That's real. They'll never be the same, because a lot of people was dependent on making money by boxing. They had fights lined up, calendared for the year, and that all went out the window when this pandemic shut everything down. But you know, prayers up, man. I hope it's no outbreaks. I mean, I hope it's nothing serious that happens in there. I hope no one tries to sabotage the arena or anything just so they can teach Dana White a lesson, because that shit will happen. You have some people out here that'll do that. They'll try to sabotage the shit. But that's it, man, for now. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the broadcast. It was broadcast live, man, straight out the A. You know how we do it down here, Shouty? I will be back on here. I'm not sure if they broadcasting the weigh-ins tomorrow. It would be nice if they do. But let me check something right quick. Let me see. Because Dana's been keeping a lot of things hush-hush. You know what I'm saying? Greg Hardy talking about asthma in the pandemic. You ain't going to be able to pull out that freaking inhaler this time, homie. You can cancel that shit. Let me check one more source. Then I will let you all go about your business. You dig? So the protocols for UFC 249 weigh-ins as follows. Time-specific weigh-ins for each fighter. So what I do know, the fight cards will start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So let me see if I find anything about the time. They don't have the times in here just yet. So I may have to just touch bases back with you all about the weigh-in. Let me see. As a result, the proposed scheduled time to weigh-in will be more like a forced I don't see too much in here about the weigh-ins just yet. Yeah, but it will be on ESPN Plus, the PPV. You can guarantee that. But once again, as always, people, it's been a pleasure to talk with you, the supporters, the fight fans, the aficionados, those of you that tune in to hear about boxing and mixed martial arts on World Combat Sports broadcasts. You know how we do. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Salute till next time.